We're going to discuss lost ball method of construction keying. And the reason I'm doing this is I showed a Yale lever cylinder with a groove in the side, and I said this is a construction cylinder. And if you put a master pin in there, especially a number 239 top pin, it will knock it out. Yale uses lost ball also, but not like the ones you see in this picture where it's a quick set with the three little BBs in there. They probably use one. I don't know. I never seen it. It's always falling out by the time I got to it. But I do know if you put a two split in there and it'll be in the third chamber, it will fall out of your knob lock or lever lock cylinders. Been there, done that.
Okay, so let's take the cylinder out. You don't need to. I'm going to throw it away, but I'm going to save a few of these in case you got to turn it so you feel the thing go in. Morning.
Why you being nosy? Say good morning, nosy.
One of the reasons I took the cylinder out, I want to show you. See, this is the original style. To change, if I want to rekey this, I'd have to knock that roll pin out, or rekey it to a Yale anyway. Knock that roll pin out, remove this cam here, and then it's just got a little detent, which has to line up with this before it'll go back in. That's why I got to turn the key. Now, the Schley conversion kit comes with a collar that slips over this because this is a fatter casing. It has a plastic. The newer ones have a plastic. The old ones had a roll pin, so we're a pain. But they come with a plastic cam here for removing the handle and a longer tail piece. Not a big deal. It goes over the regular Schley cylinder. But and this spot here is particular. This is where, when it was factory keyed, they would put a master pin in there that once you put the school key in, or the classroom key in it, it would dump that master key out, that master wafer out. But it only can be like a 30 or something. That it is quite small. But it would dump it out, and then the construction key would be locked out. The contractor could no longer use the cylinder. But as long as he only uses construction key, it wouldn't be a problem. But as you can see, there's the second chamber, and it will dump out a number 2 Yale, which I believe was a 39. And this school has 2 different Yale keyways because Yale can expand much larger without changing real keyways. The expansion is okay. Well, I'll mention they'd like to know a little more about Yale cylinders with the construction keying slot in here. I don't know if you can see it. That's on a lever cylinder. That's on a lever lock. The knob locks didn't have the long tail piece, but it's basically the same cylinder. You also have a rim cylinder. It probably has a hole in the side. So I was thinking it was a number 2 master pin that would fall out of there. But after doing a little Googling, they use a lost ball method. So there is a ball bearing in the second chamber that is normally up here in the Bible when the construction key is going on. But then you put your master key for the school or your office key or whatever, the ball will fall into the core, and when you turn it, it would dump out. And there's a slot on both sides. But if you put a small master pin in there, number 2, it would dump that out too. So I'm going to try to show that. Now, there is 2 key systems. You have probably the most common one, we're using the HPC 57 card, which is the 57 card is a 0.019 increment, And then the X9 is a 0.025 increment. Now, most importantly, I'm using a Lab 003 pin kit, so every one of my pins is separated by 3,000ths. This one here has a MAC of 4, maximum adjacent cut specification. So if you have a 0, you can't put a 5 next to it because it would wipe out the next cut. So I also pulled up the key systems here. So this is the X9 max of 4. I had to look that up. But over here I got even though my pin kit from a long time ago says the max on the 019, which is the 019, it says it's a 5. But when you do the Google, someone's saying it's a 7. I don't think so. So I made keys. The first one here is I have a 2 cut through a 7 cut. So there's a 2 cut. So first one's a 2 cut. 0, everything else is 0. A 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 7. I don't think if you were to cut a 2 and then a 7 or a 0 and a 6, because if you look, it would wipe out whatever cuts there were. Now, maybe a different cutting wheel, a sharper cutting wheel like on a Sargent would work, or a 90 cutting wheel would make a deeper cuts, sharper angles. Try to stay with a maximum adjacent cut of 5 on Yale. Make it a little easy. Also, don't use the second chamber, or is it the third chamber? We'll figure it out. I'll take it apart for a master pin. Or if you do, I'm going to see if it'll take a master pin of like a 3 or a 4 or a 5 without dumping it out. Well, let's get into that. So let me set up to do that. Let's start with the knob cylinder, lever cylinder, whatever. I've already shimmed it. It's already turned. It is master keyed. So this is the key blank. I'm going to dump everything out and then repin it. I made only 1 cut in each of these keys. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have, it's going to be pretty sure that's going to line up with the second cut. Somewhere between the second and the third cut. Maybe it's the third cut. Maybe I made a boo-boo. Well, we'll try with the second cut, but it might be the third cut, now that I look at it. I should have done this before. But you used to use a lost ball method. I don't think there's one in here. Would have dumped it out already. Okay. Now this is a Keydex, and it will take out the master pins. Problem is, if somebody loaded the master pins smaller than about 110, or the drivers, it'll wipe them out too. Maybe a 120, but it'll take out all your most common master pins. Like, the reason I had to dump everything out is because they had a small driver in there, which it also flushed out. So let me go cut some more keys and put them in the 3 cut. I'll be back with you. Okay, so I've been making up a cylinder. It's all zeros except for the third chamber. I put a 2 and then a 2 split, a 2 master pin, which is a 39, 039. We'll check that out later. But I noticed that on this key system, it's an 019 Yale 8 and 11. card 57, max 5 on this one because I'm going by that. Now if you notice, this has all the master pins. 19, you don't want to use anything under that small. 38, my pin kit's in 003, whatever, so I'm going with what my pin kit says here. It's a 39 because that's what they have here. They don't have a 38. This is factory pinning probably. That's lab. Now, over here, you only have a 2 master pin, a 4 master pin, a 6, and an 8. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty easy because you always want to do evens, you know, or odds and evens, whatever. You don't put a 1 bottom pin and a 3 master pin and a change key be a 4. You could, but we don't do that. We try to keep it even and odd. If it's an even bottom pin, it's an even master pin, and whatever. So I'm only going to use what's on my pin kit here. So I kind of laid out the pins a little bit. I'm going to try to see if I can get that number 2 split in the 3rd chamber, the 039, to fall out when I put it in the casing. So then I'll probably go to a 4 and it probably won't fall out. Like I said, this was a lost ball. So picture something the size of a BB from a BB gun, or a probably bird shot or something, but maybe a duck shot or something, but it'd be a ball bearing in the 3rd chamber instead of a standard master pin. So that was a 2, 4, 6, and there's the 8 master pins. But I just put them in this case out of here. Let's give it a try. Let's see if I can make that 2 split fall out of here, because we didn't use the lost ball, but when we rekeyed schools that had something like this in them, we're going back on, why aren't the keys working? They're working in the shop. Master keys work. It should work. Whatever. Then we realized that they're falling out. Now, it wasn't a lost ball. It was just regular standard pinning. Okay. I didn't reload any springs and drivers in there. Shouldn't matter because I just want to see if that 2 split will fall out. Let's see. So there's what key do I have here? Okay, so that's the 4. That's let me go to that was the 4 key. This is what right now, this is the, let's say it's the construction key. It's got a 2 cut in the 3rd chamber, which means the master pin for the actual customer keys is still up in the Bible, so that won't fall out. That will not fall out. That's a number 2 bottom pin, 219, 220, whatever. Yeah. Let's try let's say the change key, the customer key. Now, since I don't have springs up there, let's tap everything down. Okay, so there is the 2 master pin. You can see it. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it is in there, and it could fall out. It's getting close to falling out. I don't know how well that is, but yeah, it'll fall out. Watch. Coming really close to falling out. Let's try the other side. Ah! Oops. Well, let me reload my cylinder and we'll come back to it. Okay, I got it back together. I put springs and drivers in the top. But as you can, I don't know if you can see, but look at that. I don't know if you can see, but there is that pin is halfway out. This way. Oh, you can see how it's falling out, like right here. There, it fell out. I don't know if you saw it, but it did fall out of there. Oops. Dropped it again. Just dropped it back in. Okay, so it does rotate, and it will fall out. I don't know if you saw that, but it's halfway out. So if you're knocking around with a knob lock or whatever, it will come out. You know, probably wasn't meant to come out, but there, it fell out again. It will fall out. So I'm going to take this pull apart. I'm going to put a number 4 master pin in, which will be a 75. Okay, so let's put this back in. I don't need to. I'll just take the follower and take it apart. Now, so that is a number 2 bottom pin in there. So let's put this number 4. So I'll prove it's a number 2 bottom pin. There's a 2 cut in the 3rd chamber. Oh. Yes, this is a very, 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 very worn cylinder, and apparently it's been clicking on that for a long time on the 3rd chamber. Okay, so there's a 2. So I want to put a 4 in there. So I need to put find not a 3, a 6. That'd be right. Yeah. A 2 to 6 would be a 4 master pin, which is a 75. I'm going to put a number 4 master pin in there. And the cylinder's really worn out. Okay, so I already pulled them out. Could go to 75, which would be right there, way over there in my pin kit. Am I right? Something wrong. Okay. No. Let's see. Will a 4 fall out? 4 probably won't fall out of there because it's now. So if it's a lever lock, it's going to be in there sideways like that. Okay. What's going on here? Did I lose something? What happened? Oh well. Well, it will drop a 2 split out. Doesn't seem to drop a 4 split out, but no, my cylinder locked up. Let me shim it open. Okay, so I put a key blank in there. Let's shim it open again. What is going on here? Should slide right in. There's first 3 cuts back here are zeros. That's a key blank. Huh. I think you get the gist that do not put a 2-split in the 3rd chamber, 2 master pin. Go bigger, but even then, chances are if you put anything in there, it's gonna come out a little bit, and it probably might jam the lock, because it's probably gonna come out just a little bit, then it'll jam in here. It'll, you know, you like just don't use the 3rd chamber and get away with rekeying everything else. So you still have 2 chambers up here for all your master key stuff, and then 3 chambers back here for your change keys, or vice versa. Now, being that it's the key systems, you don't have, if you're going to do like 300 or 400 doors, you're going to need to do multiple keyways. But then again, you can use a GMK blank as your master key that fit the multiple keyways. Oh, another thing I noticed, talking about the maximum adjacent cuts. So this is a 7 cut. And so this is all zeros and a 2. It's a 7 cut. So if you notice, you're getting really close. You're getting really close to your next cut when you go between a 5 and a 7. I mean, a 2 and a 7, which should be the maximum you should be doing on a Schleg. I mean, on a Yale, because the max over there is a 5. So the difference between each cut can only be a 5. If you go any deeper, here is an 8. So you got zeros and an 8. So the difference between these two is between a 0 and an 8. You're going to notice right here, it starts to go straight up. I don't know if you can see that, but it goes, you got a little lip right there. It goes straight up. Here, I'll show you. So if you had a 0 against an 8, you put this key in there, and chances are it might get stuck in the lock. If you want a 0 cut to a 9 cut, you're going to wipe out. You're going to wipe out the adjacent cut. So like on this one, you would wipe out a 0. You'd have to go to a 1 maybe on your cuts on either side of this, the 2 chamber and the 4 chamber. You got to go to like a 1. so that your max could be 7 at best. Keep it at 5 for Yale, trust me. Even though the new stuff when I looked online said 7. If you try to go deep, you're going to put this key in one time. And this lip, where it goes straight up, will not allow you to remove the key. It'll bind it. Now, the bottom pins are pointed, it might roll over. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to get, as you're pushing it in, to get it to go over that. This part right here. If you can see it. Very important. Don't do that. Anyhow, that's neither here nor there. We don't do Yale much. Remember, don't make your cuts more than 5. Your adjacent cuts more than 5, and don't cut really deep keys. And don't put a master pin, a number 2 master pin in the 3rd chamber. You got the other chambers to use, the first 2 and the last 3. 3rd chamber, it might jam up inside your casing. Another thing you don't want to do is I got a Yale cylinder. So Yale cylinders are a pain in the neck because this is all the way through here. It kind of slides in this way and it locks it on the other side. I've already shimmed it, but as you can see, a master pin will not come out of here. So that definitely tells you they used a lost ball method. I'm going to pull it apart just to see what the cylinder looks like inside. Oh, come on. Oh, it's a standard cylinder as far as Yale rim cylinders go. Let's see what inside here looks like. Oh, it won't be able to see it. There's a pin there, master pin, and a driver. Cat's out. Master pin in the driver, okay. I'll just dump it out. I'm not going to use it again. I don't know if you can see it. Put some light behind it. It's just a hole. That definitely tells me they used. And you see my tweezers going through here. You see that? Goes through. So a master pin would not, number 2 would not go through there. You can probably use if it's all rim cylinders, mortar cylinders, you can probably get away with putting a master pin there, especially a 2. It's not going to fall out. On the other hand, it will fall out of these, whether knob lock or lever cylinder. Now, remember I mentioned that there's a conversion kit for Schlage? Well, this is the original conversion kit. It has this collar here because these cylinders are fatter. So you can put this cylinder just like this. We got a roll pin. So to rekey this, you'd have to drive that roll pin out to get to this retainer spring, unthread the cap to rekey it, and put this back on. Now, after the later ones, this is all from the factory. The later ones have this piece is plastic. There's no roll pin, so you can pop it off. Just remember where this notch was at, so when you put it back on the lock, it'll work. And Yale locks are pretty darn tough. They've lasted a long time. Still got some from 20 years ago or more in our schools, in our high schools at that. So this is the conversion kit. You see, if you were to buy a conversion kit, you're going to get this collar. You're going to get a Yale tailpiece, which has the plastic piece, not a roll pin. They will probably still get the roll pin ones. Tailpiece this and that, and it's probably $10 a pop. I don't know, but we don't buy them anymore. We just take it all apart and put regular cylinders in. So, hope that's a deep enough dive on the Yale stuff. But yes, remember, third chamber, no master pins. Make your life easy. And they do make a conversion kit for Schlage cylinders or whatever sheet. If it's not Schlage, if it's some other cylinder. Well, I don't know about Sargent, but I do know that they make a Schlage conversion kit. They probably make it for any keyway, or you can buy aftermarket Sargent keyways or whatever keyway you work, Corbin, Russwin, that are like this. It'll probably work with a Corbin Russwin lever lock, lever cylinder will probably work because they have a cap too. So, hope that helps.